Oh, this is gonna miss. That was terrible.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna save this.
Sure, think about it again.
I'm thinking about it.
Are you happy?
Come on. Don't you? No!
What did you say?
Oh, I'm great, but I wasn't even looking.
Mason was born with a condition called recessive dystrophic EB. He has no collagen 7 at all, and his skin, he was born with no skin on his right leg, no skin on his left foot, no skin on his chest. At 6 months old we nearly lost him. It's not only external blistering on the skin, it's internal as well, so he gets blistering in his esophagus, and he coughed at the line of his throat when he's 6 months old, and due to that he's now fed through a gastrostomy in his stomach and he can't eat food or drink. I had a water birth, so luckily that was less friction, so it wasn't a dry birth, because if I had a normal birth he would have come out and could have taken all his skin off his back and over his whole body. So when he was born, his leg came out like this, so it looked like he was deformed, and they put the baby on top of me, and his leg looked like it was deformed, and then he had absolutely no skin on his legs at all, which the only way to describe it is like a raw piece of steak. And I passed him straight back in tears and said, what's wrong with my baby? And she just looked in shock as well, and with that he just got escorted off, and then pictures were taken. That's when Great Ormond Street got involved. The whole bonding with the baby instantly, there was none of that. I was scared to look at him, to touch him, anything, because every time I looked at him he had another blister form on it. I tried to breastfeed, but I couldn't breastfeed because his lips would blister. I gave him a bottle, his lips would blister, and I wasn't allowed to touch him. I had to hold him, for the first year of his life I had to hold him on like a special care incubator pad, like a pillow, and that was it for about a year. Me and Rod took turns sleeping with him at night because he'd cry, he'd rub his eyes, he'd cough and choke, and then he'd have massive blisters coming out of his throat, and we've had to cut with scissors. We called the ambulance once a week for about 6 months. He was 6 months old, he started to cough. Basically, his esophagus was blistering. We didn't know because it's internal, so you can't see it. I was feeding him through a bottle. The milk in the bottle was going into his lungs, not into his stomach, so he was permanently getting poorly and going to hospital, and I was drowning him basically with milk. He coughed at the line of his throat, the esophagus came out, and it looked like where he was coughing and choking, lots of phlegm was coming out. We just thought it was like phlegm and saliva, but it wasn't, it was actually skin on his esophagus. We pulled in here into our house and we saw an ambulance drive past with our son in it, and he was literally in an incubator with intensive care with tubes and machines all over him. It was horrible. We drove up to Southampton and they said to us, look, he's coughed at the line of his throat, we can't put a camera down because it would damage his throat, we can't look into his throat because it would damage his throat, but he is going to die, you're going to lose him. And as a parent, to be told that is just hard. But it's like you go numb. You can't even. I mean, I'm a crybaby anyway, but you couldn't even cry because to be told your son's going to die, what can you do? I can't. It is hard as a parent. It's really, really hard. A child with EB has never had a gastrostomy so young. And they gave him a fundoplication, which they sewed his stomach up, stopped the acid reflux, which was causing the blistering in his throat, and then they said this might not work, but 7 hours of surgery, and he came out, and it worked, and he's here to tell the tale. We haven't hidden him away from the rest of the world. We've given him as normal life as possible. We've done as much as we can when we can. It's not been easy. He can't swim, he can't ride a bike, he can't ride a scooter, he can't run around like other children, but he's adapted to that, and we've made that normal for him. If you say to Mason normal, he says what is normal, because he doesn't, there is no normal in his life. Sometimes he's adapted more to it than we have, because I struggle sometimes seeing other kids running around and doing things, and I get upset that he can't do it, But he doesn't seem to get upset at all. He just takes it in his stride and thinks, well, I can't do that, so what can I do? And there's a lot that he's done that a lot of other children haven't done because of his problem. Now he's older, it gets too much for him. He's like, leave me alone, I can do this, I can do that. And he's so independent, but he's had to learn the hard way sometimes. He has fallen over, or he was playing with his sister once when he was little and she stood on his fingers and they completely ballooned up and blistered. Some days he can't walk, he's in specialised boots. We just do everything we can to protect him, because one fall can ruin him for the rest of his life and it might not ever heal, so we're on his case. Thing is, they didn't tell you this could happen because it might not ever happen. Every child with EB is so different. I still struggle that I've given birth to a little boy, to a baby, and I've got to stick needles in him and it's just not right. It's really a really hard thing to have to deal with. I just cannot thank that hospital and that surgeon enough for what he did for my son. I don't think they don't get enough credit for what they do. Anything can happen to any of us at any time. Mason might outlive all of us, so there's no point worrying about. Like at the beginning I worried about losing him all the time because we nearly did. But then I just think, do you know what, he's pulled through this, he's a strong little boy, he can pull through anything. My second biggest fear was school, massively, because I know kids can be so cruel, but I've sent him to the best school ever. He goes to Parley First School and they're just amazing. All his friends there, they just protect him. They're like a little, and they include him in everything. They just treat him like he's normal. If you told me 9 years ago this would be my life, not in a million years, I would say no, I wouldn't cope. But he's made me who I am and I've made him who he is, I think. I hate the thought he's looked on as a person with a condition and the little boy with EB. He just wants to be known as Mason, and so do I, because he is, and he does. He makes us proud, really proud. And they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it certainly has.